Look, I know that it's early here on Seahawks Today. I'm your host, Will Ortner, to be looking at the potential Riq Woolen replacement. He's going to be here through the rest of 2025. You can't trade him. That's why there's a trade deadline. And you're well past it. You're not going to cut him. That wouldn't make any sense. He's the second best cornerback that you have on your team. But you do need to make sure that you're not procrastinating Riq Woolen leaving the Seahawks. So we're going to dive into some different avenues that your general manager, John Schneider, can look into on replacing Woolen on today's video. Now, if you've been living under a rock, you might have not seen that Ian Rappaport early back in September basically said, once Devin Witherspoon comes back, Riq Woolen is going to be a trade target. Now, obviously, the Seahawks did not trade Riq Woolen away. I think they came to the same conclusion as myself that he was too valuable of a piece to let go. You weren't going to get enough in return for him. Hold on to him. Let him play with the team. And unfortunately, you're just not going to get a return on him when he leaves. Now, Jeremy Fowler did have this to say. He released an article with Matt Bowen saying who the top free agents were going to be in 2026. Riq Woolen ended up on that list. And he said that Woolen is going to hit or be available during free agency, and he's not going to re-sign in Seattle. He hasn't been a scheme fit under head coach Mike Macdonald, and that teams with a man coverage scheme, he's going to be a bigger help. He's going to have tremendous upside for their squads. So we're going to look into some options that John Schneider can grab that are going to be a scheme fit in Seattle, more of that zone scheme. But before we do that, I do have to ask you to subscribe to the channel. It's free, and the minute that we have breaking news for the Seattle Seahawks, I'm going to post a video right here on the channel. Right now, we're at 75,183 subscribers. I appreciate every single one of you who have subscribed to the channel. Help us get to our new goal of that 75.5 mark. What are you going to get? I already told you. Free Seahawks content every single day, and you're going to be some of the smartest Seahawks fans on the planet. Now, here's the big fella smiling, looking proud of the team that he has created in Seattle, and he's going to have to continue to tweak a little thing here, twist a little thing there to get this team to move back into that potential dynasty that we had talked about back when it was the Legion of Boom days. Now, he's got two different avenues that Schneider can go down. Do you want to go and grab an NFL option or go into the draft and pick a option from college football? First, I want to look at some of the options that the Seahawks could potentially have here in the NFL. Now, here are three players that are going to be free agents in the 2026 NFL free agency period. And the first one that we're going to start with is over in New Orleans, Alontae Taylor. Now, the cornerback from New Orleans has been a stud for the Saints. He's continuing to progress year after year after year. This year, the number that jumps out to me is that tackling number. What has Riq Woolen kind of struggled with? It's been tackling opponents. He seems more of the Deion Sanders type of corner where, hey, you know what he wants to do? Keep the other guy from catching the football, because if he keeps them from catching the football, he doesn't have to go in and bang. Mike Macdonald, clearly, the way that he uses Nicky Manwari and Devin Witherspoon, he likes to have corners that aren't afraid to be added into the blitz game. I mean, shoot, even Josh Jobe has been added in to that blitz game. Taylor's also a pretty big corner, so that is something that you could use as well. Here's what Fowler had to say on Taylor and what kind of makes him alluring to a lot of teams. Taylor gets the edge as the top corner based on teams consulted for this exercise. He is good size, 6 feet tall, 199, doesn't even have to lie on Tinder, with flexibility to play inside and out. The Saints and Taylor obviously discussed an extension, but that deal never happened. Now, I do want this to be made clear with Taylor and with the rest of the crew that he is going to be the more expensive option, which is why Fowler said this later on in that article. That made him a trade candidate at last week's deadline. The Bears and Colts showed interest. Obviously, they wanted to make some moves. Colts ended up going with Sauce Gardner. Bears, well, they are the Bears. And so a reference point, the top free agent corners last year earned $18 million per year. Don't be shocked if Taylor ends up in that mark. Probably a little bit too expensive for your Seattle Seahawks. Probably not a player that you could bring in. And so that made me go and look a little bit deeper into some other potential targets for the Seahawks to go after for Woolen. And that led me to this player here at number 2. And that, of course, is Jaylen Watson of the Chiefs. Now, where does Watson add in for the Seahawks? He is a little bit more of a easier target to go out and get. He's obviously well aware of the area, being from Washington State. Shout out the Cougs. Another bigger target. Now that tackling number is a little bit lower than what Taylor's might have been. But again, you are looking for a second or third cornerback on your depth chart. You already have your number 1. And this is what Matt Bowen had to say on Watson. Now, he isn't a high-end playmaker, but he has the length to challenge and press, along with the route awareness to play top down on the ball in zone schemes. That is something that would be very appreciative for Mike Macdonald. Watson has 2 career interceptions and 22 pass breakups. The big thing there is what he does in zone schemes. That is something that potentially Schneider could bring him in for and let him really excel in the Mike Macdonald system. Now, the last corner has actually already been traded this year, and that's Greg Newsome. For those of you who don't know, Newsome started off the season in Cleveland. Pretty darn good corner over there. He was a guy that Seattle could potentially have been calling about at the trade deadline. Decided not to. He gets traded over the Jacksonville Jaguars. He didn't really get to play much against your Seattle Seahawks because, well, he had just been traded. Pretty decent career. Again, a little bit smaller of a corner. He's going to be a little bit more versatile, right? He's not just going to be on the outside. He's a guy that can play inside in the slot. And I find that very intriguing for the Seahawks, who like to run a defense where players play a multitude of different positions. Just look at the way the Seahawks use Devin Witherspoon. Matt Bowen had this to say on Greg Newsome. Newsome has only 3 career interceptions. Not necessarily a bad thing. But he has created on-the-ball production with 32 pass breakups over 5 years. Newsome has the tools to match a man coverage, but he's at his best in zone schemes that allow him to play with backfield vision. I think Newsome is going to be my clear favorite, at least right now in November, looking at the 2026 NFL free agent market, because of the versatility that he has. He could play inside in the slot. He could play outside. And obviously, Mike Macdonald clearly likes to use a lot of players like that. And where does he fit best? He fits best in a zone scheme. He's the type of corner that likes to look at what the quarterback is doing. He trusts his speed. He trusts his football IQ to put himself in the right position and not get burned more often than not. Sound off right now in the comments. Which player that I showed do you like the most? Is it Alontae Taylor? Is it Jaylen Watson? Is it Greg Newsome? Who do you think would be the most impactful player for the Seahawks? Head down below in the comments right now and let me know. Now, the other option for your Seattle Seahawks is they can go and take a look at the draft for a potential replacement. It's hard to kind of pinpoint which player is going to be available where in November, especially since we don't know where the Seahawks are even going to draft yet. Hopefully it's 32nd. But here are some potential replacements that the Seahawks could go after in the draft. Jermod McCoy over at Tennessee. Now, some people who aren't big college football fans, that's okay. You need to spend more time in your life on Saturdays watching football. Might say, who the blank is Jermod McCoy, and why, when I look at the 2025 stats, does he have 0 tackles? Well, he has 0 tackles because he ended up having a knee injury, so he ended up missing a lot of time. In fact, the entire time so far for the Tennessee Volunteers. There is talk that he might come back later on at the very end of this season. At this point, if I'm McCoy, there's no reason to. You're already being talked as a top 10, 15 pick in this upcoming NFL draft. Ain't no shot. Ain't no shot I come back if I'm McCoy. I don't know that the Seahawks have a real chance of getting him because, well, Seahawks aren't going to be drafting early enough to pick him up. Now, the next player that the Seahawks could look at is Mansour Delane over at LSU. Very strong quality corner. Another player that has the size and ability to be played inside as well as outside. Don't be shocked, too, if you saw, hey, Seattle, they made a move after this kid. if they tried to, ease him in, hey, he starts out as a nickel type of corner, or he'd be the type of player that isn't instantly inserted into the starting lineup. He kind of builds up slowly over time. Could be an option that Seattle goes after. But again, probably going to be difficult. He's in the top 20 of the NFL mock drafts right now. Again, I don't know that Seattle's going to be drafting there anytime soon. I got 2 more players that I got to show you about. But before I do, I got to let you know about this insane deal over at chatsports.com/Seahawks shirt. Emerald City Football. Now, some teams, they're looking at their November football shirts and they're getting ready to put them away. Not here in Seattle. We're a really freaking good football team right now. You can head on over to chatsports.com/Seahawks shirt. Originally, t-shirt, $35. It's now $17. You get that sweet Emerald City. It's going to be different than what everybody else has. Plus, you're going to be wearing this for a long time, well into the 2026 January month, maybe even to that February month, 2026 as well. Chatsports.com/Seahawks shirt. Chatsports.com/Seahawks shirt. Chatsports.com/Seahawks shirt for that sweet, sweet deal. All right, my next player that I got as a potential replacement for Woolen is Avion Terrell over at Clemson. Now, his brother's obviously playing in the National Football League. What you're going to get out of this kid at Clemson, and I think it's important to note, is a smaller type of cornerback. He's 5'11". Everyone knows that if you are not above 6 feet tall, you are undateable, therefore a short king. But what he makes up for in that height is his speed. He's quick, he's athletic, trusts his field vision. He's able to go in and make plays. Again, not afraid to make tackles, which is key for a Mike Macdonald system. The last Riq Woolen potential replacement would be Colton Hood out of Tennessee. Tennessee's got a pretty darn good defense. I don't know if you knew that, but what impresses me most about Hood is his ability to fight through adversity, right? He was a guy who was supposed to be a number 2 corner, and then because of the injury to McCoy, he had to step up. He played incredibly well, playing incredibly well this entire season for Tennessee. Another guy who is big enough to play on the outside, small enough to play on the inside. Do not be shocked if Seattle makes a move after Hood. And the thing about Hood and Terrell, they've both been mocked as later on in that first round, a potential spot where the Seahawks could go and draft a corner. Now, do you have a preference? Do you want the Seahawks to go after a free agent or draft a cornerback? FA in the comment section if you want a free agent, D in the comment section for draft. I think right now, if I had to lean anywhere, give me a free agent. Add in someone to this defense that has already shown they can be successful in the NFL. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in to this morning's video. We really appreciate it here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Help us grow, because you want the Seahawks and you want Seahawks content every single day. You get that here by subscribing to the channel. Thank you guys so much. We'll see y'all next time.